For years, I was the chaser. I mean, if they pulled away, I would just run faster. If I got a one-word text, you better believe I was sending back a whole paragraph. But last week, I hit a wall. After one more cold response, I decided to do something completely radical. I just stopped.
And okay, let's just get into it, because this was the question that was eating me alive. This is the question that kept me stuck in that same awful cycle for years. The fear of being forgotten, you know? It honestly felt worse than the constant anxiety of chasing them. But I had to know. I just had to see what would happen if I did nothing.
So I did it. I called it my 7-day silence experiment. No texting, no calling, and, this was the hardest part, no checking their social media. Just silence. And what happened next wasn't just surprising, it completely flipped everything I thought I knew about power and relationships.
Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. The first few days were absolute hell. And I'm not just talking about being sad. It was a physical, psychological battle against every single instinct in my body. Let me walk you through this because it was so real. Day 1, I had this constant physical tightness in my chest. It felt like a panic attack was just waiting to happen. By day 2, my brain was literally screaming at me to just reach out. I must have drafted and deleted at least 10 different texts. And then day 3. Day 3 was the absolute worst. That was when the craving to just hear from them was so intense I almost broke.
And then it hit me. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was science. My brain had gotten addicted to those little hits of dopamine every time I got a reply. I had a huge realization. I wasn't missing him, not really. I was missing my drug. And that insight changed everything.
And then, right around day 5, something started to shift. It was like this heavy mental fog I'd been living in finally started to lift. That constant gnawing anxiety began to fade, and a totally new feeling started to creep in.
I mean, the difference was like night and day. The first few days, my entire world was just me, waiting, staring at a dead phone screen. But on day 5, I actually put my phone in another room and went to the gym. I called up a friend I hadn't talked to in months. I stopped waiting for my life to start and just started living it again. I was finally taking the focus off of them and putting it back where it belonged, on me.
So we get to the final day and everything felt different. I'd gone through this insane internal battle, started rebuilding myself, and now it was the moment of truth. The experiment was over. On day 7, it happened. The one thing I was both dreading and, let's be honest, secretly hoping for the entire week. My phone buzzed. And there it was. It wasn't angry, it wasn't demanding, it was just curious. My silence had created a question mark where my constant availability used to be. But here's the really shocking part. The old me, I would have replied in like 0.2 seconds. I would have been so relieved, so happy. But the me who had survived that week, I saw the text, put my phone down, and I waited. I waited for 2 full hours before I even considered replying. It wasn't a game, it was just me finally being in control. And that right there was the biggest lesson of all. My greatest fear was that my silence would mean I'd be forgotten. But the reality was the exact opposite. My silence didn't push them away. It created this space that actually pulled their attention back toward me. The whole dynamic was completely reversed. Going through all of this made me realize just how easily I could have cracked. And that's why I really want to share the tool that actually got me through it. I have to be so clear with you on this. Just trying to go no contact without a solid plan is so risky. It is way too easy to break down on day 3, send some desperate texts, and end up looking and feeling even worse than when you started. To survive that week, I literally had to create a day-by-day roadmap for myself. It wasn't just about not texting him. It was about what I was going to do instead. You know, how to actually focus on myself and rebuild my power one day at a time. I used this exact roadmap to stay strong, and I've turned it into a 30-day detox guide. So if you're even thinking about trying this, please don't do it alone. You can get the guide I used with the daily plan, all the mindset shifts, everything in the link below. But of course, that brings up the next big question, right? You've gone through all this work, you've gotten your power back, and they finally reach out. What do you actually say? Because if you reply the wrong way, you could lose all the ground you just gained. How do you respond and keep that newfound power? We should probably talk about that.